he's had $1 billion in project impact, 125 million in partner deals.
3 years ago, he does 250 million a year in his company. I want to know the secret sauce. Again, we were talking about, I want to learn from this guy. Once I learned that 3 years ago, my life took off. Opportunities, money, podcasts blew up, people coming, knocking on my door, being on this show.
If you don't believe that what Steve is talking about actually works, then go look up Alex Hormozi. Go look at the numbers that he did in his last book drop. This man served for 3 years in the social media realm, gave everything away. And in one day with books, that guy sold it's
100 million or something.
What advice do you give to the people you coach?
All right, what's up, everybody? Amazing Marketing Show listeners. Excited to bring you another episode. Have you ever met someone and thought, it would be great if we could work together. We'd probably make a lot of money. We could have a lot of impact, but then nothing pans out. Well, probably you didn't connect the right way. And our guest today, Steve Ramona, is a next level super connector, which means personalized introduction, actually connecting with people, serving them before trying to get a profit out of them. And so he's had $1 billion in project impact, 125 million in partner deals, and a signature approach is custom video introductions that create personal, purposeful, and profitable relationships. I think this we're all looking for, because we don't like transactional relationships. We want them to be personal, but we also want to make money. I think this is kind of the best of both worlds. So he also is the host of the Top 20 Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast, which has 800 episodes, 50,000 listeners per show. He's also on the TV show Together We Serve on E360 TV, where 1.6 million people watch him. That's a lot of people. This guy's the real deal. And before we bring Steve in, I want to introduce my co-host, Chris Gray. Chris, how are you?
Dimitri, what up?
I'm living the dream. Excited to talk to Steve. Steve, welcome to the show. Tell us about you.
Well, don't forget the co-host, so I'm glad you did that. I was going to say, he's going to forget Chris. You can't forget that voice. Holy moly. Hey, thank you for the introduction. We talked about before the show, I call it the green room, and people laugh. People are just not doing this. I call this transformational, not transactional. Like today, I never was transactional with you guys, but I transformed you. You transformed me, which will lead somewhere. Maybe it's through you. Maybe it's you guys. We just don't know where it's going to go. And a lot of people I talk to are like, I need to pay bills. I got the PG&E, power and garbage, and I've got rent. And we all have that. Mortgages. We all have that. But we can't just focus on that. We got to focus on people. We're in the people asset business. What do we want to do with their asset? We want it to rise. Well, how do you do that? You build. I just had a guest on today talk about social capital. Building that up. Capital you want to rise. How do you do that? You build relationships. Uplift everybody you come in contact with. And it could be just as simple as a smile. Or, hey, your baby's bow is beautiful. I did that church a couple of weeks ago, and the lady remembers me today. When I walked into church last week, she goes, hey, that was so nice you said about my baby. That's it. That's the social cap. That's the serving without transformational, without transactional. Am I going to transact with them? Probably not. But I'm a faith guy, either God or if you're not, universe will repay you. We just don't know the how, when, or where. And that's got to come out of our mindset. You just do it, as Nike would say. And let's Nike sponsor your show. So if you're listening, Nike.
I am so excited about this episode. I was telling Dimitri in the green room, Steve, about what I saw. I loved everything I saw about you on paper. Then we're in the green room and we get to talking. I was like, I just dig this guy's vibe. And so I'm super excited about this episode. And the question that I pose to you is that from your viewpoint, you've worked with so many people, so much experience. What do most people get wrong when it comes to connecting with others?
Try to sell everything to everybody. Give your stuff away for free. I do a free podcast workshop every month for free. I've been doing it for a year. I've had people launch a podcast and they come every month because I gave them free stuff. Your IP, whatever you want to call it, give it all away because they can't be the expert like you are if you want to look at it from the ROI perspective. Give your stuff away. I do business mentoring for free. I'll jump on a call with somebody one-on-one, and what's your challenges? Wow, I need more people. And I'll spend 20 minutes teaching them how to do that. And sometimes I go, what do I owe you? I go, nothing. Well, how are you going to get paid? I said, God will take care of me. Worry about that. I'm going to get emotional here because it's so powerful. But here's the cool thing, Dimitri and Chris. Anybody can do this. I can't play in the NBA. I'm 5'8" and 240 pounds. That guy lost weight. Or I'd say 300. I can't do that. That's the thing. This is a skill that everybody can do, but like an athlete, you need to practice.
And one of the jokes I think Chris and I talk about, speaking of the green room stuff, is just that we need to make a podcast of just whatever happens in the green room. Because it's gold, you guys, I'm telling you. But so people know that they need to deal with other people, whether it's for their personal lives or for their business lives. But somehow, even the personal side, it sometimes gets very transactional. I mean, how do you prevent yourself from falling into the trap of expecting something out of everything?
Let's use it today. I jumped on. I don't know you guys. I even forgot how we connected. It doesn't matter. But what did I do? I uplifted you guys. I shut up and listened. I learned about you. I got to know you guys as hosts, what your desires. You told me what you're going to do. I have a principle I developed, and I'm so proud of. It's called the ASLA principle. ASLA. Ask, shut up, listen, or active listen, and ask. Now, people go, first you say shut up. I say, because I want to make the point. Definitely shut up. But are you listening when you shut up? And people go, well, of course I am. No, you're not. Go to a Zoom room. How many meetings have we been in, or Google Meets or whatever? You have all these video screens. And somebody's screen goes black and it's just their picture or just their name. Where'd they go? Maybe they went to the bathroom or answered the door. I'm not judging that, but they had to go do something. But let's go to the bottom line here. Were they listening? Did they know what Chris just said? Do they know what Dimitri just said? Probably not. So when you're one-on-one or meeting people in person, ask, shut up. And then the ask at the end is, so Dimitri, I hear that and you just told me this, so I listened. Your wife picked out those pictures, which I love. I didn't ASLA. And then I go, well, where'd your wife find that? Oh, she found it here. Oh, was it expand? You see what I could do? I can draw a conversation and get to know somebody in 5-10 minutes, just like you guys. And guess what I can do? Now I can serve the hell out of them. I can lift them. I can bring them value. I can transform them without ever doing a transaction. What's going to happen? If I have something they like, and they may not always, down the road, they go, what do? I'm interested in your coaching program, your CRM, whatever that may be, because they like me. I don't buy a lot of things. I don't know about you guys. I don't buy a lot of things if I don't like the person. And a lot of people do. They'll go, I won't do this or this because I don't like I won't say names, but the head of this company. I won't buy that. I won't buy that car. I won't buy that whatever. And it's true because that's how we are as humans.
Steve, you hit on something that I think is important in life, but even for any entrepreneur that's listening, is you were talking about what you do daily, connecting with people. And it seems like when you talk like a man with purpose. And so I'm going to give you a statement, then I'm going to give a question. I was going through something recently, and a guy I respect, Tim Nikolov. You can say that name better than I can, Dimitri, but shout out to Tim. And he said, well, when I was asking for the help, he's like, well, what is your purpose? This business thing connects to your purpose, then it makes sense. And I couldn't answer him. To land this plane, I came back with my purpose is to let God or presence or whatever you want to call it flow through me when I'm with people. So it's everything you just said. When I'm with somebody, be with them, whether it's the grocery store or whatever micro transaction, be there, be with them, and let whatever work through me. And I hear you talking about that in some form or fashion. So my question to you then is, when it comes to business and it comes to life, what is Steve's purpose? And then how does that lead to what you do for a living?
Thank you for being transparent, Chris. We need to be more of that. And I know I will be. My purpose is to uplift everybody I run into. At a grocery store, a lady needed help to get to a can. I reached up and grabbed it. Wasn't much taller than her, but I was able to get it. I uplifted her. That was my first thought. How can I help her? So any situation I'm involved in, how can I bring value? And even if it's an argument, I had to learn this. I'm Italian. Arguments aren't good for me. I've seen a lot of not so good arguments. I'll leave it to you guys to imagine what that is. But to be able to ask, shut up, listen, ask, even during an argument, and have, your point of view, Dimitri, you're absolutely right. I did not think about that. For me to say that is so hard. I learned this 2 years ago. For years, I would fight with people. I didn't want to be stupid in front of people. I embrace stupidity now because you know what? I get to grow and that person gets to grow because they're going to share that with somebody else and build them up as well. This is like a spider web of, pay it forward is another phrase we use. We share. And I've learned so much at 64 that I wish I knew at 30 or 40. My whole life would be completely different. So you young people out there listening, take the advice of me and Dimitri and Chris, who've lived a little bit and seen a lot because we're out there serving people.
The serving aspect of this all is probably related to leadership in a lot of ways. And every company needs a leader. Hopefully they have one. What does it look like in a business setting?
I think it's missing. Empathy and love is missing in business. I don't know why, if I'm a founder of a company, I've got 100 employees, I don't walk up my HR director and give you a hug. Maybe she lost her mother last week or she's having a tough day. Now, I'm not, it's a whole different type of love. There's agape and I forget all the names. But why not love our employees? I love what Chris just did here. I love what Dimitri just made that great sale and worked hard on it and tell them about it. You're not giving up anything as a leader. You're growing your leadership. And that's how you serve. And I heard a story of one of the vice presidents of CVS would go into stores that were his territory, and he'd go meet the staff and talk to all of them, but he'd go outside and move carts and put them back where they belong and pick up garbage. That's serving his employees by showing them the right way to be, even at that level of a vice president he is. So servant leadership is a big word used now, and it's important. But then here's the flip side of leadership. You own a company and you got Joe Smith there. He's just not making sense. It's just not a good fit. You've got to let him go. Well, that's normal. It's not a fit. But here's how you serve. So I'm going to back up a little bit. People serve at chin level. If you're watching this on video, I'm got my hand at chin level. And that's good. Universe, God, whoever, they love that. I'm always, and this is part of my purpose, I guess, Chris, is I want to serve at nose level. I don't want to just be a good podcast host. I want to be a servant podcast host where I give my guest every opportunity to be great. And vice versa. I want to be your best guest. When we do that as a leader, our whole tribe grows. Our whole company grows. It's hard when you've got, I just talked to a guy yesterday, he's got 6 businesses. He goes, I asked him this question. I said, can you change a culture of a company that's doing 250 million? He goes, it's hard because it's all transactional. But if you start at 0 and make it transformational and the transactions comes, $1 billion company can be transformational and not have to transact every time. It's so powerful. I met Tony 3 years ago. He does 250 million a year in his company. I'm like, I want to know the secret sauce. Again, we were talking about, I want to learn from this guy. I said, what are you doing? He goes, I wake up in the morning serving, go to bed serving my competitors, my client, across the board. How can I serve? So, well, that's fantastic. I do it this way and I give introductions. I put my hand up and go, here's 3 introductions, Chris. Enjoy them. Good luck. He's like, He kind of yelled at me. I'm like, oh, what's going on? He goes, Steve, here's what the mindset is, the subconscious. They're super happy you gave them gifts of introductions. And I call these gifts. But what do people do when they get a gift? They want to give it back. The law of reciprocation in Think and Grow Rich. You just shut the door on it. You cut that conduit off. They're walking away subconsciously going, what an a-hole. They're not going to say it to me. And they're probably not going to consciously think that. But they're like, he just took care of me. I want to take care of him. He shut me off. Once I learned that 3 years ago, my life took off. Opportunities, money, podcasts blew up, people coming, knocking on my door, being on this show. Because it's opened the floodgates of the universe going, Steve, thank you very much. Here's a bunch of opportunities. You pick and choose what you want.
Steve, I think a principle in business and life in general is, and one of the keys to accomplishing something or getting something is to not want it. And so I think when you say, hey, go serve, detach from the result and give, there could be somebody out there who's like, I'm going to give and give with the expectation or anticipation of receiving at some point. That might be in the back of their minds. And so what advice do you give to the people you coach and the people you're around to know you just give? And that is it.
Unbelievable question. You guys are rock stars. This is so great. Let's use podcasting. Right now, people quit 90% of the time at 10 podcasts. I'm at 840. I know you guys have a bunch. How many podcasts do you have now?
We're up to 65 or so.
I'm going to give you a round of applause. That's huge. And people are like, well, it's 60. Well, a lot of people are quitting because the expectation of, I want sponsorship. I want to make money in my podcast. I want this and this. So you got to change your expectation of my superpower. Just want to transform. I want to serve. What comes from it will come from it. Most of the time, you'll never know. And I'll give you guys an example where I found out. This guy, father, I was at my chiropractor. He's like, hey, I hear you mentor entrepreneurs. My son just left his job. I'm freaking out. I don't know what he's going to do. He was really worried about his son. By the way, he's Russian. So he has this Russian accent. He goes, I'm not from this country. Can you help? I said, absolutely. He was like, I gave me the phone number. I called him. He finally called me back a week later. We talked on a Monday and we got done. He goes, I haven't had hope. He's like 30 for 6 months since I lost my job. I was worried. I was getting depressed. And finally somebody gave me hope. And that was great that I did that. I would have done that whether he needed hope or not. So we get off and I gave him some things to do. The next morning I wake up, $500 is in my PayPal account. I'm like, where did this come from? Well, it was a coaching program I referred to somebody 3 months ago. They finally bought it. That's the universe talking. Now, we're not going to see that. It's just one of those stories I will always remember because it did pay me back monetarily. Because taking care of Vladimir, I think his name was, Vladimir, the universe said, okay, we're going to pay you this time. But you know what? When doors open for you, if you got 10 doors open, it's better than one door. A lot of money could come. You just want opportunities.
One of the things we were talking about in the green room was getting 1% better every day. I think we're all striving to get better every day to some extent. Now, we may not be following through with it, but in our hearts, we want to get better and we want to get fitter and we want to get wiser and we want to get smarter. But practically speaking, do you think it's actually possible to do that?
Absolutely. The phrase, take a piece of an elephant, take little pieces of the elephant every day before you eat, because you can't eat a whole elephant. Not a big fan of that phrase, but it's apropos. Now, I've talked to a guy, he's doing 1 million a year. I said, what's your goal for next year, 2026? He goes, 100 million. Well, that's a big jump. That's a big part of the elephant. I said, why don't you think about doubling it? Would that make you happy? He goes, oh, absolutely. But 100 million sounds good. I said, let's do probabilities here. I never cut somebody off. If they could do it, they could do it. But that's the idea. I said, why don't you get better every day to get to 2 million? If you had 2.5 million or 3, would you be happy? I'd be ecstatic. That's where the mindset needs to go. And the same thing with getting better. And people ask, and you asked Dimitri, so was awesome. Ask was, well, what do I do? Daily habits. What? Read 10 minutes a day in a book, a personal development book. Go out and serve. Go out to your employees and just say, hey, you're doing a great job today. Something that will expand your universe. 1%. It has to be a little thing. And he'll tell you a story that was really powerful and it's emotional for me. I've told this a lot. I know we're going to talk about some stories I don't talk about, but I tell people, I get asked all the time, I'm having a bad day. We all do. I know you guys do. It's just life. What do I do? Serve. Like, what the hell do you mean? Go serve. And I give this example 3 or 4 years ago, it was 2:00 in the afternoon, contract didn't get signed, a big contract. A couple people didn't show up for meetings, and my momentum had slowed down and actually backed up. So I said, I'm quitting at 2:00. I don't usually do that, which my wife wished I did more of it, but working on that. And I went to the grocery store to do grocery shopping because I needed to do it. And sitting there, I had a calling from God. For me, this is what it was. Shout out to that. And I said, hey, clerk, let me pay this lady's groceries. She had a baby in her hand. And I'm in California, and surfer dude's going, dude, nobody does that. I said, it's just a feeling. I just want to do it. And finally got past that. And he was like, okay, I'll take it. It was a small amount, $20-$30. I pay for my groceries. Of course, we walk out together. She starts tearing up. And I'm getting worried. I'm like, I didn't mean to upset you. That was not my point. Here's what I was. She goes, no, stop. These are tears of joy. I'm like, okay, thank you, but why? I'm very curious. And by the way, be curious, not judgmental, as Ted Lasso says. It's another thing I live by. Wanted to shout that out. And she goes, Steve, my husband lost his job last week. We're struggling for money. These were diapers and I think baby food that we weren't sure how we were going to pay for it. And you just gave us another week. And I stopped. I started tearing up. She goes, I hope you're not up. I said, no. I just didn't know that. Now, a couple things. It's great that I did that, but that's not the moral of the story. Was one, what shoes are people walking in? Why you serve everybody? Because you're not going to hear that most of the time what their problem is, what's going on in their life. And you could change somebody's life like that by just taking the action of serving. Sorry, I get passionate about this. It's such a little thing I did that turned into a big thing. But more importantly, Chris and Dimitri, what's she going to do? Her name was Debbie. When she gets home, she sees her husband. Honey, oh my God, this guy Steve bought her groceries today. What? Why would he do, Well, he said it was a calling and, just something he did. What they're going to do. I've just moved their needle to go and serve somebody else. And these are actions of doing this serving. We could start changing the world. And more people are going to pay it forward.
I just love that story. I felt that one right here, Steve, like in my chest as you were telling that. And it made me think of something that something that we talk about. I do jiu-jitsu, Dimitri, another jiu-jitsu reference. Anyways, when we're practicing a move, one of the things that the coach tells me is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So we're trying to figure it out until we're able to land it subconsciously. Some of the best things I learned from jiu-jitsu, I'm able to apply to my life, business, personal. That same concept, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. I see it in business. I see it in a conversation I just had with my wife prior to this podcast. So my question to you is, when you hear the quote, slow is smooth and smooth is fast, what does that mean to you personally as well as in the world of business?
First of all, you're a brother from another mother. I learned that phrase 2 years ago from a Navy SEAL, one of the top Navy SEALs, because I think they use that phrase, and I use it all the time. It's the 1%. Go smooth, get better every day. And that doesn't mean I'm a big sports guy. Ohtani, we're October 10th. Ohtani, if you're a baseball fan, is 0 for 15 in the playoffs. They still won. But is he quitting? Is he not going to play in the next round of the series? No. He was 0 for 15. He's going to learn from that. He's going to get better today, better tomorrow to not be 0 for 15. So you're going to have those days you might go back 1%. But your focus is getting better 1%. Slow is smooth. Go slow to build whatever you're trying to build. Every successful person I've talked to, that's how they did it. Because they had this up and down. Life doesn't go like this. As I put my hand, it goes up and down like a roller coaster. So it gets you out of those. I've had many. I've been in debt, massive debt. Had to get rid of employees, close the company. It's hard, but you know what? I'm sitting here today with you great guys because I didn't let it affect me.
Yeah, Steve, what the story that you told and what you're saying now is inspiring. I'm thinking back to all of the different moments, including at grocery stores, where I could have served better. And there's no question I am not serving as well as I could. And I want to ask you to take us back a little bit, back before this was you, this version of you existed. How did you develop into it, and what were some of the hardships along the way that you had to overcome?
You guys are going to love this. 18 years old, just getting out of high school. Going to go play college football, community college. I was a small guy, but I didn't want to give up because my uncle played for the NFL and my cousins played a lot of football. It was a big part of my life. So they launched a health club. And that's why you say jiu-jitsu. I love martial arts. And they say, I need money. I got girls I want to date, boys want to go out to the beach and all that. As an 18-year-old, that's what you want to do. So I need money. Say, hey, why don't you come work at the health club? So I worked the front desk. And people would come in and leave. And you say, hey, Dimitri, welcome. Hey, have a great day. But what happened was that, hey, have a great workout turned into, hey, how'd your grandbaby turn out? Was it a boy or a girl? How was your vacation? Did you enjoy the cruise to the Caribbean? It started building relations. Now we had 1,000 people walk through these gyms every day. So I was meeting lots and lots of people, much older than me, 50s, 60s, 70s. And I met this one guy, Tony. He's a little short Italian guy because I was Italian. I'm sure that's why he liked me. But he called me kid. And building this relationship, he'd buy me lunch or I'd go out to dinner and they go, hey, there's a guy from Royal Courts, who's the name of the club. And they buy me dinner or just say hello. And people around me go, God, you know everybody. So I guess I do. I didn't even think about it, just talking to people. And he threw a book at me called The Wealthy Barber. And it's still out there on Amazon. He said, read it. And next week when I come in, I want you to tell me what it's all about. So he comes in and goes, kid, did you read it? I said, yeah, it was only 60 pages. It said save 10% of my income, what I'm making, and put it away and don't touch it. Now, this is back in 79. I was making $3 an hour, minimum wage, I think less. It wasn't a lot of money. I said, I'm going to do it. Great kid. And this guy worked with multimillionaires. But again, building a relationship, he gave me a tool. Well, here's what happened. 10 years later, he had left the club because he quit, but I still had his number. And I called him because I'd opened the account up. And guys, I had $68,000 at 28 years old in the bank account. I just won the freaking lottery. So I called him, being the servant that I built over those years at the club, and said, Tony, here's what happened. He goes, man, congratulations, kid. I wish half my clients would do that. They'd be billionaires. But they just didn't listen to me. I said, I got to take care of you. Let me send you $1,000 of that 68 to pay you. He goes, one, I'm retired. Don't do that. But this is the point that he made that changed my life. He said, Steve, because you took my advice and ran with it and stuck to it, doors opened somewhere else. I'm sure a multimillionaire walked into my office or called me because you took advice. And I went, the universe was talking to him. I'm like, why can't I do that? 28 years old, doesn't matter the age. So I learned about this serving, taking care of people, and all through the 22 years at the health club, people would laugh and go, are you getting married soon? I said, no. I said, good, because you'd have to rent the 49ers stadium for all the people that you know. Because I don't know how you're going to turn people away, because I would know, as I said earlier, people I know. I learned the value of building connections and relationships, because then I jumped into a restaurant and one of the members said, hey, why don't you come help me? Within 6 months, we were the number one restaurant in the street, because I reached out to my whole family from the health club and said, hey, guys, I'm at a restaurant. Come visit me. I built a great relationship. They all came and visited. We were packed Thursday for Saturday. He's like, what are you doing? I said, just reaching out to people I know, which was a lot. Then I started a recycling company, reached out to all the restaurant people, all the people from the health club. I had $250,000 in the bank account in 6 months. I was blown away. I'm a business owner, got 2 employees. I got $250,000 in the bank because I reached out to the people that I built this great relationship. I uplifted them, brought them value. They're more than willing, if they could use my services, be part of it. And they did.
I like the story about Tony coming in and, kind of indirectly mentoring you. And there's a quote that you have that I like where it's, when serving, always mentor below your income level. Learn from people more successful than you. I want to know more about that because in my personal life, I'm finding myself wanting to get around people that I'm here with or that are a couple steps ahead of me. I never think about really giving back to somebody who's trying to advance as well. So tell me more about this quote, please.
Being the dumbest guy in the room is always a good thing. As I told you guys earlier, I had a real problem. I'm very transparent with you guys. I thought I had to know everything. And it's the word. It held me back. I lost millions of dollars doing that. And audience, I don't want you to do that. Be dumb in the room, because my podcast is where I'm dumb. Because when you guys come onto my podcast, I'm going to learn from you. Guess what I get to do? When I'm on a one-on-one and doing the ASLA principle, and I hear they're like, God, I don't know how to follow my prospects. Well, I've got this tool here. Check it out. It's free. Really? Oh my God. Yeah, check it out. If you have any questions, reach out. What do I owe you? Nothing. It's funny when people ask me that. It's because everybody's still thinking transactional. But every time I learn something through other people, my podcast, I get to share that and serve other people. So if you want to get better 1% every day, take everything that you learned and you hear from somebody, go, hey, here's a tip. Ego. We all have it. Empowering greater outcomes. Mark Hunter, the sales, he's called himself one of the top sales guys in the world, taught me that in my podcast. I share that with people as I mentor them. And they're like, oh, I want to do that. Paying it forward.
Steve, let's talk about podcast. Since we're on a podcast, we're glad to have you on our podcast. You're a podcast expert. Tell us, and we also talked about quitting after 10 episodes or before that. What should people expect from their podcast? And I know you're going to say you should be serving, but give us tactically what is going on behind the scenes of a successful podcast.
Give the rat's butt or ass about your numbers, especially starting out. Forget about them. It's great. I've got almost 11,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm fantastic because I get to impact so many people. But if it was 1,000, which it was at one time, it didn't stop me. Here's the tactical way to do podcast. You want to grow your business? Say you are a business coach and you work with CPAs. Go out to LinkedIn, find all the CPAs that you like, be authentic and like what they do, and reach out and go, hey, Jennifer, I love what you're doing. I'd love your message to be on my podcast, and I'd love to amplify it for you. Would you like to do that? I've had one person out of 800 say no, only said no because they were too busy. Lee Steinberg, Jerry Maguire movie. Most of us know that. He's a sports agent. He's Patrick Mahomes' sports agent. He was Troy Aikman's. I reached out to him on LinkedIn because he thanked me for starting my TV show. I said, Lee, I love your story. I've been following you for years. Would you be on my podcast? Within minutes, I got a response, and it could have been his admin, but it doesn't matter. I said, yeah, reach out to Adam. We'll get it set up. 3 weeks later, he was on my podcast. Lee Steinberg. Now, think about this, audience. Would have Lee been on a one-on-one with me? Would he have connected with me if I didn't have a podcast? 99.9% no, because there's no reason to. How can I uplift a guy like that? He's done everything, made everything, doing everything, and doing great things. When you can amplify people's voices, whether they're multi-billionaires, which I've had on, or that person that's been through a struggle, like Alfonso James, who was in jail for 32 years in Wisconsin, black man who at eighth grade quit school because he didn't have a father. He was illiterate, walked into the police station because they're interviewing about a murder. He got hungry, so they told him right on this piece of paper, which he couldn't read, that said he killed, I don't think it was a pastor, he killed somebody in this town. He spent 32 years in prison for something he never did because the lawyer did not bring out the 3 witnesses that showed he was hours away or miles away from the murder. He spent 5 years in solitary. This is why I love podcasting, why you should love it too. I asked him in tears, I don't know if I could be as grateful as you are. Be very honest. Why? And he said, Steve, I jump in my car. I drive to the lake in Wisconsin. I watch the sunrise, the birds chirping by, floating by, making those beautiful noises, and the water rippling in front of me. I missed that for 32 years. It has so grounded me that now I can move on with my life. And obviously, it was 2 years ago. I'll never forget that phrase. And we're in tears on the show. And his partner, she was there that got him out of jail. It's like, that has taught me a lesson that I'll carry on and share with people forever because I get so many people are impacted by that because it's a powerful message.
Steve, you talk a little bit about your network is your net worth, and you've hit on that a few times in this episode. A question to you is I'm an introvert, and I've learned how to walk into rooms and actually talk to people, but the key word in there is learned. It is not easy. And so for those to, there's a piece of advice you gave earlier, be the dumbest person in the room. And that is correct. And that is also soul crushing as far as imposter syndrome goes, at least for me. So when it comes to somebody walking in a room that they don't feel qualified to be in, and then having to network, what advice do you give that person?
So mentoring, Darren Hardy wrote Success Magazine. I listen to him every morning because he's much more successful. He had this phrase, and it's right here. I have it in front of me. Always ask for advice. So you walk into that room, Chris, you see that billionaire and you walk up, hey, I see you do this. How did you get to this point? 90% of people are going to tell you when you ask for advice, you're the expert. The other thing is echo what they said. So, Chris, you said martial arts has taught you discipline and using the ASLA principle. Tell me more about that because I'm interested in people are going to open up for you like crazy because when you show interest in people, I don't care what level they're at, they're going to usually show it back. And the next thing is love. And I did it to you, Chris. I love your paintings behind you. It's your mom, your wife picked that. I did it with Dimitri when he showed us that beautiful cut. And be authentic. But that's how you do it. Show interest you serve people by showing interest to them. Jerry Maguire or Steve Lee, why do you like these athletes? Well, I teach them all about picking a subject with kids. They have to go into schools and they have to present that. And for Patrick Mahomes, if you don't know this, he goes into schools every month and talks about bullying. Are they going to listen to him? Absolutely. So I'm going to do the same thing. I had a guest yesterday that's a top producer. He did Revenge, and I told you about that. On my podcast, and if people are interested, I'm going to add to your podcast, is you send me in an essay of if I give you $50, what you're going to do with $50, how you're going to serve people. I'll give you the $50 to do that. But we got to pick your essay. And we're going to have people. And that's what he does. He takes foster home kids, gives them $200 and says, write an essay. And then you got to go out and do it and then follow up with what you did. There's so many things I've talked about in this show. This is such a great show that you can do to uplift other people, which eventually uplifts you. It's 100% guaranteed. The level, how much, quit talking about that. Am I going to serve Dimitri and Chris and make $1 million? Probably not. But that's not the way I look at it. You're getting transactional again. Stay transformational. You stay in that lane, it's a great lane to be.
Yeah, and if it's not obvious yet to you guys why we have Steve on for the Amazing Marketing Show, I mean, these are marketing techniques that aren't dirty or slimy or it's a nasty ad. These are really solid personal marketing techniques in a way. And also, if you're not subscribed yet, you got to get subscribed and you got to get on our newsletter because we're going to send you the notes to this. I think you should review the notes. I'm going to review the notes because I got to get better at connection and transformational relationships and serving. So I'm going to review those. Subscribe now to get that too. Steve, I want to ask you kind of one of the segments we like to do, Man in the Arena, which means getting punched in the face, being out there and trying and serving, and then something just goes wrong or things aren't going like you want them to go. I mean, has that ever happened to you? Has there been a case where things just really sucked for a while?
My arena was pretty big. So I'm going to tell you, I got two quick stories. One, 40s, driving down the street. My dad was in the hospital, girlfriend breaking up with me. This is a life one. And I pulled up to the stop sign and, you look around a stop sign, listen, whatever. I looked over to my left. There's a bus stop and a guy in a wheelchair. I literally slapped myself and went, Steve, what is your problem? Why are you depressed? Hate to say it, it's a girlfriend. It's not the end of the world. My dad will recover, which he did. This guy will never walk again. He's got to take a bus everywhere. I'm driving a car. And it opened in my 40s. It changed my life even more to serve more. So that's my life perspective that really, it was, as you could tell, I'm very passionate about. The other one was as I mentioned, I had a recycling company. And I was getting paid by the government of California, and they stopped paying me. I was rocking and rolling. Actually, hey, we're not sending this. I'm like, why? And I go through this, and I had to close the company. I didn't want to. I had 2 employees. Again, this is where service and a servant's heart can get you in the way. And I went to my cousin, Jeff Ramona, and my dad, Ralph, and shout out to them, great mentors for me. And I said, what do I do? These guys have a job. They got families. If I close this business out, they're screwed. And I was yelling at him. I was, calm down, Steve, because I was really worried. They'll be fine. Think about this. If you keep going and go bankrupt, you can't pay them at all. Then they spent hours with you, and they're not even going to get paid. I went, ding, 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 ding. Because I didn't want plus I was like a business owner. We're proudful being business owners, entrepreneurs, especially when you're going well. So I'm like, what am I going to tell people? And they're like, forget that. They're not going to care. And they didn't. So I did close it down. They got a job 3-4 months later. They sent me a text. Thank you. It was the best thing you could have done. Thank you. I'm like, oh my God. Boy, did I stress over something that was way bigger than I thought it was. But it scared me. I mean, I had a lot of sleepless nights. I don't want to do this. I'm serving all these people, and now I'm going to stop serving them. Well, I found another way. So it worked itself out, and it usually does.
We're getting towards the end of the episode, so I have more of a statement than a question. I'll turn it back to you, Dimitri, or whoever wants to comment on it. But if you're listening to this and if you're like me, you're soaking this up. I'm all about this life. There's somebody out there who might be like, man, this is a bunch of bullshit. All this serving stuff and giving other people, like, yeah, I'm trying to make money. If you don't believe that what Steve is talking about actually works, then go look up Alex Hormozi. Go look at the numbers that he did in his last book drop. This man served for 3 years in the social media realm. 3 years he served, gave everything, master course type level type stuff, gave everything away. And in one day with books, what did he do, Dimitri? Do you know the numbers that guy sold? It's
100 million or something.
Something astronomical. And he doesn't need the money. It wasn't that. It was just he had served so much that when it came time to sell a book, he had a book. One book, one day did all that because of what Steve is talking about. This ain't bullshit. This is happening and this works. But the key is to really believe it.
Amen. And I'm going to serve you guys, your audience, even more. You said your newsletter, send it to me. I want to subscribe. But audience, the first 3 people that reach out to Dimitri or Chris or both of them that you sign up for their newsletter, I'm going to send you a book on me. And it's a success book that I've been using for the last 6 months. That's completely changed my life, opened $1 million doors for me, which it can for you. It's become a really good friend of mine, John Mitchell. Shout out to him. But let's do that. Let's put that out there. You guys just let me know if somebody reached out and you can prove that, all that. You can see if they come on and sign for your newsletter, because I think newsletters are that 1% every day. You jump on their newsletter, you're getting better. Say you do it weekly or monthly. When's your newsletter come out?
Yeah, weekly.
So every week, mine comes out on Wednesday. If somebody listens to it on Wednesday, they got better than that 1%. That's one way you can better 1%. And you should be building your knowledge. That's how you can serve more, like I said earlier. So let's put that out there. I'm willing to do that.
Thank you, Steve.
Man, thank you for that. And that's a great offer right there. So sign up for the newsletter. Seriously. Plus, you get the notes to this episode. If you want to get 1% better, just read the notes to this episode and you get 2% better at least. How about that? And okay, yeah, Steve, thank you so much for that. I want to talk about also the different ways that people can contact you. We're going to have all the links to your social medias, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right here in the description. But if somebody wants to work with you, or they really love your message, forget work with you, they just want to connect with you, see if it'd be a good fit, how should they do that?
You can email me at SteveR1961. So Steve, my first name, letter R, 1961 on Gmail. And I'll get you set up. If you want to be a podcast host workshop, I'll get you set up. It's free. I do business mentoring twice a month, 4:00 on Mondays, Pacific time, 7:00 Eastern time. Well, I just spend an hour, 45 minutes helping people like I've done with you today. LinkedIn, Steve Ramona. Just find me, Ramona, and I connect there. I'm always on there. It's up right now, and I'm always connecting with people and things like that.
That's fantastic. Steve, I just got to tell you that being around somebody who serves makes me want to serve more. It makes me want to be around more people that are wanting to serve. It's just this contagious feeling that I get. I'm guessing that's part of this whole process.
I could show you. I save them now just to inspire me when I'm having a bad day. That's another way to get 1% better. Go look at testimonials of things that you've done for people. I've got about 35 of them. Oh my God, Steve, that was the best meeting I've ever had. I can't believe how you served me. Or the one email I got real quick, I know we got to go, is I just did an introduction to 3 people. What I normally do, we all should be doing, didn't think of it. Weeks went by, and I get this email from her. And she says, Steve, I don't know if you know this, I have 2 special need kids that need a lot of help, and I'm struggling with them. I just reached out to those 3 people and met with them. You've completely changed my life. I've been struggling for years how I'm going to afford to take care of my kids. Those 3 introductions have given me money and the ability to move forward with my kids, and my family is so grateful. Why not do that to get that kind of response from somebody? I didn't know because she didn't tell. We didn't jump on a one-on-one, and she, sometimes I learned that. I just did the serving thing without thinking. I uplifted her with 3 introductions, and look what happened.
It's an amazing mindset,
Yeah,
perspective. It's incredible, and it's so polar opposite to the victim mentality, which many people fall into. And we know it's toxic, but I can say sometimes I feel bad for myself, but when you feel bad for yourself, it sounds like the best thing you can do is just serve others.
Be human for 5 minutes. Like when I lost $1 million contract this year, 5 minutes. What a God, this is crap. And sat in my office by myself, and it went by, and I reached out to somebody else for another project. Again, 1%, still that theme. But you got to be human, because that was a lot of money I lost. That's okay. I'll find it somewhere else. I'm going to help more people and all that. So be human for 5 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, we'll wrap it up there for the Amazing Marketing Show. Do check out Steve on social media, wherever you go, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or TikTok. Steve's on here. So especially if you're thinking about starting a podcast, or if you're looking for coaching, probably of any kind, really, like personal or podcast or business, check out Steve, and also take him up on that newsletter offer. All right. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, guys. This has been awesome.
Appreciate it.